Father Larry directed several documentary films about the residential schools in Northwest Territories. Until at 66 years of age, he was called to the priesthood. Being extremely grateful for his own life, it's good you exist, Father Larry promotes the dignity of the human person and the awesomeness of God's creation wherever he finds himself. Please give a warm welcome to Father Larry.
Thank you, Jared, and thank you all, you beautiful people that are here today on this God-glorious day. It's so beautiful. But you know what? There's been a grave mistake, a grave and awful mistake. It's been made. Yeah, it's an error of epic proportions, and that doesn't even do it. It's a mistake with incalculable consequences. The mistake is the idea that somehow, if your reasons are strong enough, there is a just case for taking another human life, an innocent human life. There's this idea that exists in our society that says that's true. And we know it's not true, of course. I mean, let's say you're a kid, maybe you're 16. Or maybe you're 24 and you're a young woman and you're pregnant. And you've been fed the lie so much that it's ingrained. It's ingrained in your heart. It's ingrained in it's in your conscience. And your conscience has been formed by that lie. So that's how you are, that's who you are, that's how you're walking through this life. So of course, when the situation arises, you go for that. But it's a lie. It's partly a lie, but it's partly delusional. It's they say it's a clump of cells. No, it's not. That's a lie. It's my body, it's my choice. No, it's not. That's a lie. Pro-lifers are anti-women. How many of you here today are anti-women? Oh, okay. I don't know. That's what they say. I don't know. But you all know who Bill Maher is? Yes. If you don't know, Bill Maher is a comedian, kind of a comedian, I guess. He's a very left-leaning comedian. But one thing I'll say about Bill Maher, he's honest. He's totally honest. He's amazingly honest. And he's got a talk show on HBO because he's allowed to curse and stuff and say whatever he wants. And that's wonderful. But so he's on this show and he's talking about abortion with two people that are very left-leaning for pro-abortion. And he says, Bill Maher says, I scold the left when they say pro-lifers hate women. They don't hate women, he says. They think abortion is murder. And it kind of is, he says. It kind of is. And he says, I'm just okay with that. I'm okay with that. I mean, there's 8 billion people in the world. I'm sorry, we won't miss you. And he continues and says, is that not our position or your position if you're pro-choice? Well, obviously. But the problem here is they're shocked that he says such a thing. The truth. He's speaking the truth. That would have to be your position. If you're pro-choice, that has to be your position because it used to be safe abortions and all that. But now it's no longer that. It's like, so, a baby dies. It's okay. It's better for me. They're oblivious to the fact. What is really at stake. Most pro-abortion and pro-euthanasia people are just not that honest with themselves. They would not, most of them would not admit to that. But that's the way it is. They're either not honest or they've been totally convinced that abortion is a right and euthanasia actually ends suffering. So, what's the difference between people who, on the one hand, believe it's wrong to kill innocent human life, or someone who believes it is acceptable or even a good or a right to take human life. Do you remember that Golden Globe winner a couple years ago, a woman, I forget her name, and she held up her Golden Globe and she says, "I never would have been able to get this had I not had an abortion." She was shouting out her abortion. "I never would have had this." And it's like, oh, her child for a Golden Globe, right? Her child, she sacrificed her child on the altar of the abortion industry and gladly says that. And she has the golden calf in her hand. Do you know? It's like, that's what we're up against. That's what the society is. So the thing is that there's a major difference between these people, you, me, and the people who think like that. There's two completely different worldviews. It's a fundamental difference about how we perceive the world. And this difference is a major factor in our society. We could have a society that protects its most vulnerable, and what happens then will necessarily become more virtuous and thus a more excellent society. Or we'll have a society that doesn't abide by that. They won't protect the vulnerable, and they will wallow in shame and anger and creating more death. If you fall on the side of killing an innocent human life, then perhaps you don't understand this, that one life is more valuable than all the material in the universe because it is eternal. It lives forever. You don't understand that every life is sacred. And you don't have to be Catholic or Christian or any denomination or Jewish or any faith or have no faith at all to understand the wisdom in this ancient text I'm about to read. It's actually from Deuteronomy. "I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Choose life so that you and your descendants may live." Choosing death is not reasonable, it's not rational, it's not right. But that's the way it is. And why is that? Mostly ignorance of what is true. Pope St. Leo the Great said, "Human ignorance is slow to believe what it does not see, and equally slow to hope for what it does not know." You see, these people don't understand the nature of suffering. They don't understand that suffering is part of the human existence. It's part of human nature. It's part of who we are. And we have to share it. We're called to share our suffering, each of us, with each other. Whether we are suffering greatly and someone's helping us, or we're not suffering so much, but we're helping somebody else who is suffering. Either way, we have to get rid of the idea that we may be a burden. We got to scrap that idea to think, "Oh, it's all right, I don't need any help, I'm fine, thank you very much." No, that idea is no longer valid. And that's the key to euthanasia. That's how they get their way in, because I feel like I'm a burden and I accept your conditions. So they're oblivious to the fact that suffering is a part of the human condition and that we are made to help relieve each other's sufferings. That in encountering suffering, we discover truth and goodness and beauty. We discover God and we discover grace and we discover redemption when we avail ourselves to each other. Thank you. With just one last thing. We have these tools, these amazing tools. They are hope and reason and love and prayer. And so let us never forget to pray. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.